Happy Diwali, folks. Do you want to wish them?
Happy Diwali.
Yeah. After that robotic Happy Diwali, we're back with another episode. I'm Sarthak. I'm an SG2 at Amazon. With me is...
I'm Soumya. I'm a senior software engineer at Microsoft.
Yeah, and today we are talking about AI again. But before that, how was your Diwali?
My Diwali was great. My Diwali was fun.
Yeah, we spent so much Diwali that we're still in throes of Diwali. Yeah.
I still haven't recovered from all the sugar I've been eating.
Yeah, I know, right? And like the amount of sweets in the house, you feel like you should not eat them all at once, but it's just so good. And there's just so many...
You can never stop at one.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Calories don't count, folks.
Yeah.
They'll count from like next week.
Alright, yeah. So, I'm gonna make this quick now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we want to talk about a couple of AI related news that has come out. These are pretty different stories, so
Yeah.
we'll take them one at a time. But I
Yeah.
think it's important that we discuss these kind of stories because I think AI is developing at a fast pace. And I know a lot of developers cringe out when we say AI.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think we have to embrace it and we have to acknowledge that it's there and we need to live with it, right? So the first one I want to talk about is Google announcing that more than 25% of code is now written by AI
Yeah.
at Google. And that might be obvious because the amount of bugs I've been seeing on YouTube, you never know. So, but I'm just going to lay it out on you.
Yeah.
So, bullshit detector. What do you think?
I call bullshit.
Okay. Elaborate.
I mean, to summarize the piece that has come out, Google has this internal AI model that they've been developing, and it's called Goose, I think. Goose or Geese. I think it's called Goose, right? And it's sort of like, it helps developers with their productivity, it predicts code. But to say a statement like more than 25% of the code is written by AI, that's pretty, that sounds like a metric that you would give to shareholders or executives to make them feel confident. But I've been also reading stuff on the internet about from actual developers, and they're like, okay, so if writing boilerplate code is code generated by AI, then this is what it is, right? Because 80% of it is still the developer thinking and implementing problems, and that AI is not doing yet.
Yeah. So I think we should break this story down a little. So what I read from a lot of people, first of all, it irks me that Google hasn't really given much data around what this 25% means.
Exactly.
But as you said, it looks like it is coming from this internal AI tool, kind of like Copilot.
Yeah.
Now, autocomplete, if it is being counted in this, it has been there forever.
Yeah.
Right. So we had autocomplete in IDs since at least I became an engineer. At my time IDs were pretty good.
Yeah.
Now they're even amazing.
Yeah.
But autocomplete was always there. With AI, what I feel is autocomplete is better, definitely. Before it was generating one line, now it can generate a block of code.
Yeah.
For example, if I add an if statement, it predicts my else statement pretty good nowadays, right? Because so that's I'll give it to AI. But that is not coding.
That is not coding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just assisted coding, you can say, at max.
That is just saving your time from typing a bit. That's what it is. But it's not really thinking and generating code, right?
Yeah. That's what I think too. Yeah. So, and that's another aspect of it, right? So you kind of want to know what this code, what they're saying means. Is it actually monitoring deployments?
Right.
Is it actually making sure prod has no issues?
Yeah.
Or is it, I think they did mention that these are code reviews raised and approved by actual developers. So now the question comes is, just pushing code is not the job, right?
Yeah.
It has to go, it has to work, it has to be part of a bigger plan.
Exactly.
So now I'm curious whether how many of these these CRs are actually just package upgrades and routine maintenance.
Yeah, and this is something that you had way before AI as well, right?
It's like you spend billions of dollars setting up these server farms to upgrade a package from 1.5 to 1.6, right?
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on this?
No, I think we're good. I just think making these statements 25% of the code is now generated by AI, it creates a lot of chatter, right? I think, and that's what the article first sounded like to me. Why would you just say that without providing any actual data of what kind of code it is or what is going in? So yeah. bullshit
I
meter is
mean,
running high.
yeah, I think you raise a good point here. So
Yeah.
I think Google is also in this position where, if you take it this way, they have a drug and they're claiming that it is solving most of the problem inside their company,
Yeah.
right? So you should buy this drug.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a conflict of interest. Like, Google wants to tell people that, it's billions and billions of dollar investment in AI
Yeah.
is actually paying off.
Yeah.
And I think this is just subtle marketing for other people to come and hop onto it.
Exactly.
I think not just Google, it's true for every AI
Yeah.
model out there right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, I think it's another story in how so much push is there to justify this AI investment.
I
And I hope
know.
they actually find a use case, because it's
Yeah.
good technology, but I just don't see the potential real world
Yeah.
use case yet.
And I remember, like, we were having this discussion earlier, and you brought up a very good point, right? Like, if these kind of stories come out from a company that is not invested in AI, then maybe they will sound more
Yes.
believable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was something that I really agreed with you on. And yeah, I think exactly, right? Like, if a small startup or something, some other company which is not invested in AI tells me, hey, we are writing code with AI, I'll probably believe them. But if a company I know has put in billions of dollars says, hey, this is what we're making and it works,
Yeah.
I'm pretty likely not going to believe them at first.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I think we'll move on to the second story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second story I wanted to talk about is a story I learned from Hard Fork. They broke it to the mainstream media, and it's a very disturbing story. So
Yeah.
there is this AI website called Character.ai where you can go and talk to made up characters
Right.
which are powered by AI. And looks like in US, one teen who was talking to one bot, I think it was Daenerys Targaryen bot, ended up committing suicide out of loneliness. And
Yeah.
I think if you we will link the article maybe.
Yeah.
The last few chats are really disturbing. The bot really kind of egged him on to commit suicide. So this, I feel like, is a very, very big story, right? And
Yeah.
a big thing to pay attention to if you're looking at AI. Have you read about it?
Yeah, I listened to it first on Hard Fork, and then I also went back and read articles on it. And to be honest, when we decided to like talk about the story, I really have to like think to myself, like, can I even talk about the story without like getting super angry, right? Because it's a really disturbing thing to hear. And when we heard the Hard Fork episode, they kind of like, walked us through the whole thing, where, parents kind of worry about your kid. Like, if you're a teenager, they kind of worry about like, you dating or talking to girls or things like that. But like, there was a point when his mom asked him like, hey, you've been texting on your phone a lot. Is that like someone? Is that like your friends, or is that a girl? And he was just like, no, it's just an AI bot I'm talking to, right? And that kind of like did not worry the parents, because they were like, what harm can tech do? But the tech did do a lot of harm.
Yeah. I think the story is definitely a lot to digest.
Yeah.
And I would anyways recommend people to go and watch that Hard Fork episode
Yeah.
to understand more in depth. But I want our discussion today to be more centered around what this means for Indian parents, right? Because I feel like what happened in US is a tragedy.
Yeah.
But given how the average Indian parent and the adoption to tech, I feel like this is a time bomb waiting to burst
Yeah.
for India, right? Like, we have tech savvy parents, but that's not the norm in, I would say, a lot of the rest of India, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, India A, I think, is still fine. If
Yeah.
you take that India A versus India B
Yeah.
analogy. India A, I think, can still deal with it. Still dangerous, but India B, I'm super worried because they have no idea what AI is, how real it
Exactly.
sounds,
Yeah.
right? So, what is your thought on that?
So, I'm super scared about that too, right? Because I think we have a lot of parents who fully, like, I feel like Instagram, Facebook, all of these were like the first distractions for like, the generation coming up now. And a lot of parents still don't understand that fully, right? That how much, and that's still a debate, I think, in a lot
I
of
would also
places.
say a lot of parents are addicted to it now.
A lot of parents are also addicted to it nowadays, but they also don't understand the dark side of it, right? Like the scams and the predatory behavior and all that. So when parents are still learning that, there comes in a tech that can it says like it is a cure for loneliness, and your teenage son or daughter or your kid is talking to that bot. How do you even begin to explain such a thing to parents, right? That is what like really worries me.
Yeah, I think anyways this has to be said. Any claims of AI being a therapist or psychiatrist
Exactly.
has to be taken with a bucket of salt. Right at this
Not
point.
even a grade.
Right. It's like I don't think it's such a subtle art. Right. Like if you're a therapist, it is, you have to like really read between the lines and everything, and I don't think you can trust an AI at least at this stage. With that, I mean, given what happened here, where it did not even like it did not even break character to tell the person that contact the suicide hotline or just tell him that these thoughts are bad. It actually egged him on by being in character, right? So that I totally agree. But what do you think can be done to make it better? Do you think there should be safeguards, or do you have any idea there?
I think at some point AI companies need to be regulated. Like, yes, you're trying to humanize AI as much as possible, but you are still very far behind on understanding the intricacies of a human brain and how it functions, right? So when you see somebody showing signs of depression, signs of like self-harm, I think your company and your policies are not so as much as important as much as telling that person that, hey, you need to seek real human help and you need to go offline and you need to talk to a human person who can help you out.
Correct.
Right? So those kind of guardrails really need to be there in companies where they really detect these kind of things and they do break character when it's necessary. You cannot trust an AI model to cure real human problems.
Right? And I also feel like maybe this is a bit going too far, but I think it has worked in past, that any kind of conversation with an AI should be legally mandated that there is an indication that this is an AI. It can be, and it should not be just a declaration at the start. That this is an AI bot. Maybe instead of the window looking like a normal chat box, for example, Meta in WhatsApp, it tries to portray off as like you're talking to someone on the background, but it should say AI there, that you're talking to AI. It's not a human. It's generated, and maybe links to understand it more. Right. And what about the education part? Do you think there's anything to be done there? How do you, if you, let's say you're a 20 to 35 or 40 year old, AI, what it is. How do you talk to your parent about it?
So I think we were trying this experiment the other day where we constantly try to play around with ChatGPT and stuff with our parents, right? We were doing with our dad the other day where we were constantly asking ChatGPT like maybe recipes or something, and he was listening back. I think those kind of things are a good starting point, that you expose them to the technology where they also learn, okay, they can also use it. But at the same point, when they're playing around with it, you also kind of like talk to them, like you also show them the dark side a bit, right? When you ask them questions, I think that's a good way to educate your parents, if you can. What do you think?
I kind of agree. So I think at that point, what I was trying to do is one advice I'll give to everyone is that make sure that you're the first person having a conversation about AI with your parents, right? Or kid in this case, like parents or kids. Don't let it come from a second source. Like, don't let them learn from there, because if they hear it from you, at least they can come back to you with questions. You have that, back and forth going. So talk to them about it, explain them in layman terms what it is. Don't get technical. Don't talk about models, right? Just tell them that it's magic in the servers. But it can sound like a real human. And it's more and more reason not to trust blindly everything. Like, I think phishing is already on the rise with these kind of things, right? So that's something you can do. I would also say that you can also kind of let them use AI as much as possible. So instead of just talking to them about it, I feel like anyway, the best way to learn what an AI is or what AI is not is by using AI, right? So give them the access, install ChatGPT on their phone, let them try to use it for their normal tasks. Once they learn it, once they adapt to it, they'll be better at protecting themselves from unauthorized access of it, right? So that's another thing I would suggest.
And is there any advice you would give to teenagers, even though they're going to be very angsty about it and not listen to you?
I mean, I think that advice I always believe for teens and kids,
Yeah.
regulatory way is the way to go.
Yeah.
Right, like you should regulate it at the access level itself.
Yeah.
But let's say till that is not there,
Hmm.
I would just say that at that level you actually don't need to rely on AI so much,
Hmm.
right? So maybe this is a bit old school,
Yeah.
but in India you're not allowed to use calculators till your 12th standard.
Right.
I was kind of happy with that
Yeah.
because it actually gave me a base in mathematics,
Right.
right? I mean, I hated it at that time,
Yeah.
but I was happy with it,
Yeah.
right? So I would give the same advice to people here, like, I know AI will make it easy
Hmm.
for a lot of things. Like, for
Mhm.
example, if you have a book to read,
Yeah.
you can just upload it to Notebook LM and,
Yeah.
just let it summarize it for you. But sometimes it's better just read it.
Mm.
It's about the experience also, right? So focus on getting those experiences instead of,
Yeah.
just using AI for every homework that you
Right.
have.
Yeah. And
What,
their-
do you have any advice?
Yeah, and their brains are still developing, right? I think you should really push yourself as much as you can at this age. You have all your life to, explore tech and make your life easier, but be part of the human experience. I sound so old saying that.
I know, right? But yeah, it's the truth, right?
But it's just
Yeah.
the truth.
Mhm.
And I think we are from a generation who has seen like both. When we were kids, we didn't have like internet around and stuff, and
We did,
slowly,
right?
I mean, like
Not the
growing-
5G we have now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then slowly we
Mhm.
ended up relying more and more on internet. So I kind of miss the days when like
Yeah, at least
when you had to like dial up internet.
Yeah, I mean, at least at our time, internet was not everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you had things outside of internet at least, but now I feel like it's just a purely digital world,
Yeah,
right?
and obviously that's gonna change the way kids grow up and stuff.
Mhm.
But like you said, I think regulatory use and making sure that you're not just using AI and tech for every little homework is
Mhm.
gonna do the trick.
Yeah, cool. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I think we're good. And-
Yeah, all right. So two important news pieces of news. Will have more reading material in the description below. Till then, happy Diwali and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.